Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel where once again it's time for another Saturn review, and today we're taking a look at one of the Saturn's 4 release titles, and this one is Sega International Victory Goal, or as it was known internationally, Worldwide Soccer Sega International Victory Goal, and it was released on July the 8th of 1995 and was one of the earliest 3D football games ever to exist. I think it's important to point out that we were lucky to actually get a football, or soccer as it's known over in America, game upon the release of the console, because in America they obviously wanted an NFL game and they didn't get one for a very long time. So we were quite lucky in that sense over here in Europe to get a football game upon release. So on the options menu you'll see we've got Exhibition, World League, Short League, Cup, Penalty Shootout and Options. Heading into Options it's pretty straightforward. Choosing the difficulty, length of the half in minutes, you can choose the weather. Looking at the control schemes, it's very strange because each control scheme has a slightly different button layout, and there are no layouts that give you every single type of shot or pass on the control setup. It's very strange, so you can't have chip shot and lob and shoot and pass all together. It's really bizarre. I've no idea why it's like this. It doesn't really make much difference to the game in all fairness in terms of the way it plays, but it is a little bit bizarre and a bit confusing why the button layout doesn't just include every single function mapped to the control pad. So when it comes to picking your nation, you've got the main ones: Brazil, England, Argentina, the Netherlands, Spain, Italy, and a few others. There are only 12 to pick from, which wasn't uncommon for a non-FIFA football game at the time, as they tended to have quite limited rosters in terms of teams and players. But enough of that. We want to know how this game looks, how it plays, how it sounds, what kind of lifespan you can expect from it, and does it hold up, and is it worth playing in this day and age? So graphically, how does it look? Well, considering it's a release title for the Saturn, it's not the worst looking game in the world. In fact, there are many football games that came out later than this that actually look worse than this, and a lot of the early fully 3D football games tended to fall into that category. This one uses 2D sprites for the players and the ball with a 3-dimensional pitch and goal, and that was probably the best way to go initially, because 3D football games were right in their infancy, and a lot of the early ones played really bad. I reviewed Euro 96 quite a while back on my channel, and that is a shocking football game, and it is worse than this one, definitely. In the looks department though, it doesn't look great. Can't pretend that. The sprites aren't particularly detailed, they're not tremendously well animated either, which kind of brings it down a little bit, but it's not horrific, it's not awful. There's no slowdown and lag in the performance of the game, which is obviously good. The pitch actually looks reasonably good, I can't really fault that. The goals don't look too bad either, so in terms of visuals, it's not terrible, it's not awful, but obviously there were far better looking games out on the whole. When I'm talking about how this game sounds, I think one word sums it up perfectly, and that is repetitive. There aren't a whole lot of sound effects going on in the game, not much crowd noise, anything like that, no commentary, and you just get the same track playing throughout all the matches, meaning it doesn't offer you much in terms of a realistic footballing environment in the sound department, and like I said, gets very repetitive very quick. Now, how does the game play? Well, it plays pretty simplistically. You've got a button for shoot, a button for pass, and then you'll either have lob or chip pass. Usually you can't actually have all of those, like I said, control functions together, which is bizarre. You can slide tackle, you can use shoulder barges. Shoulder barges tend to be the best way to win the ball because you can spam that shoulder barge button, never get called up for a foul, and that tends to be the best way to win the ball back. It doesn't play particularly well. You don't tend to feel like you have tremendous control over your shots and your passes. As such, it kind of hinders the enjoyment in the way that it plays. You can tell it's the infant Worldwide Soccer game because on the whole it is somewhat similar to Worldwide Soccer 97 and 98, but in a much more simplified, less impressive and less enjoyable way. There's 3 camera angles to choose from, a slightly further away one, a slightly closer up one, and one in the middle. You can't have a side on view, it has to be end to end in terms of the viewpoint. So on the whole, it's not horrific in the way it plays, but it really is simplistic and it pretty much doesn't offer much enjoyment. In terms of the lifespan, then you've got a penalty shootout mode, which lets you just take penalties, obviously, against your friend or the computer. It doesn't look particularly good. It doesn't play particularly good because the goalkeeper will dive as soon as you press the button, meaning it can be very difficult to save penalties. The animation of the penalty takers as well isn't particularly impressive. We've got a cup mode as well, where you can pick between bronze, silver and gold, and that determines how many teams are in the tournament, and it really is just a case of pick the teams and try and win the cup. As well as that, you've got the league modes as well, the longer one and the short one, and that pretty much makes up the whole content of the game. There's nothing unlockable, anything like that. It really is what you see is what you get. So the big question is it worth playing today? The short answer is no, and that is basically down to the way it plays. Football games pretty much stand the test of time on the way that they play, how enjoyable they are, and how satisfying they are to play in terms of scoring goals and feeling like you're having a genuinely good time playing them. And this doesn't have that feeling. I can't imagine it did back then. I never played it upon release, but back then I'm pretty sure ISS Deluxe was the best football game around on the SNES, and that's a far better game than this, even though it's on an older console. It's just much more enjoyable. So no, it's not worth playing today. And as well, on the Saturn you can pick up Worldwide Soccer 97 and 98 really cheap, and they are both just more advanced versions of this game with more content basically. Now, I've been told World League Soccer 98 is the best football game on the Saturn, but I've yet to pick this up and yet to play it, so I can't really put a finger on that, whether that's true or not. But that will be a game I review at some point in the future. As it is, as this stands, no, I wouldn't recommend it. No, it doesn't get into our top 10 either, obviously. But that is it for today. Did you enjoy this game? Have you got it? Did you get it when it was released? And did you actually think it was pretty impressive back then? Let me know in the comment down below. And as always, I will be back in the near future with another Saturn review. Goodbye for now.